Welcome back. And apparently, the Big Ten is basically trying to bury the Pac-12 further than it already has. Apparently, according to this video by CBS Sports and this Yahoo article by Dan Wetzel of the Yahoo Sports column, Big Ten has begun preliminary talks to potentially add Oregon, Washington, California, and Stanford. Same thing in the title here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna react to the video of this um, piece by piece, and then we're gonna read the article just to see if there's new information that we didn't get in the video.
This just in, college football realignment continues to churn. A group of presidents of the Big Ten holding preliminary talks about adding more schools from the Pac-12 are Dennis Dodd confirming that. They're reportedly looking at Oregon and Washington and potentially Stanford and Cal as well. Remember, USC and UCLA are already joining the Big Ten in the 2024 season. And in a statement to CBS Sports from the Big Ten, they said the Big Ten Conference is still focused on the integration of USC and UCLA, but it's the commissioner's job to keep conference chancellors and presidents informed about new developments as they occur.
And you know what? I don't blame the Big Ten because the Pac-12 has absolutely fumbled in more ways than you can imagine. They didn't they didn't get a new TV media deal that would entice UCLA and USC, excuse me, to stay. Then they lose both teams to the Big Ten. They don't add any teams to help, try to cushion the blow of losing those two powerhouses. They didn't add new teams like Big 12 did. You know, for some reason they still haven't added San Diego State, Boise State to the Pac-12. Um, from what I from what I've been hearing, people were thinking about maybe having SMU in the Pac-12, but the commission hasn't made a move yet. The Pac-12 has absolutely completely butchered their own conference, and I'm not really surprised that the Big Ten is necessarily like, well, if these other schools are interested in leaving the conference because the guys in charge are not doing enough to help build all the programs, well then why are we not gonna capitalize on this?
All right, let's welcome in the man himself with all of the info here. Dennis Dodd joining us now with the latest. Dennis, can you kind of break down how this all developed and what can you tell us about this potential move?
Yeah, I think it developed rather quickly, if you will, Jenny. A year ago, Kevin Warren, like literally a year.
Kevin Warren was the Big Ten commissioner a year ago, but he went on to take a job to be the president of football operations for the Chicago Bears. That's who Kevin Warren is.
Ago to the day, was pushing these four schools to the Big Ten, and he was being told, hold your horses, we still have to integrate USC and UCLA.
So apparently, the Big Ten have been looking to do this for over a year now, and they feel as if right now is the best time to do so.
We have to figure this out. And frankly, it's a reason he doesn't have his job today. He was so urgent on getting these schools in that the presidents and ADs had gotten upset with him. But I think because the Pac-12 is, maybe in play now, that the Big Ten can go get Oregon and Washington and not have the blood on its hands, because one of the biggest hangups here, and we're talking about, maybe Arizona to the Big 12, none of these schools or networks wants to be seen as the one pulling the thread that unravels the Pac-12. Well, Jenny, I think that's already happened. I think the linear partners have already spoken on the worth of the Pac-12. ESPN and Fox aren't interested. CBS and NBC aren't interested.
And CBS and NBC have now early last year agreed to big TV contract deals with the Big Ten. So you're going to see the Big Ten games on NBC for big Saturday night games. You're going to see the biggest Big Ten games on CBS at 3:30 next year, the same way that they used to do for the SEC. This will be the SEC's last year on CBS. And of course, on Fox, you got big new kickoff with both the Big 12 and the Big 10. And ESPN, their main focus is the ACC and the SEC. They're not really checking for the Pac-12 like that, and quite frankly, the Pac-12 has nobody to blame but themselves.
To the point that now all they have, the Pac-12 I'm talking about, is this reported $20 million a year offer that is about 100% streaming on Apple. So those linear partners, without saying it, are saying we've already valued the Pac-12, and the value right now is nothing. So that puts Oregon and Washington in play. They can look themselves in the mirror, the Big Ten, when they do it, and say, "Hey, this is a struggling conference. We just want to initiate talks." And look, I should emphasize this could take a while, but I think number one, it has happened. The president's talking to Oregon and Washington, and I know as far back as last August, Oregon was in the offices of, I'm sorry, yeah, or excuse me, Washington. The president of Washington was in the office of Endeavor, a global company, and it's the Big 12 and Big 10 media consultant, inquiring about its future. So this isn't anything new. It's just risen to the surface, and those are the basic reasons why.
You touched upon it, but I want to dive a little deeper into, this potential Pac-12 media deal. Was the possibility of it being a streaming deal with Apple, does that help kind of sway these schools into wanting to leave?
Well, that's the question now, isn't it?
These are the schools you see here for the Pac-12. There it is, Colorado on the bottom right. They are looking to add the Big 12 to join the Big 12 next year. I need to probably mute the music because of copyright.
In play with the Big Ten. And they're, frankly, the two best brands left on the board, aside from Notre Dame, which isn't on the board. So you're looking at the two best football brands available for realignment now going, well, perhaps going to the Big Ten.
Let's talk about the Big Ten now. What does the Big Ten look like after potentially 20 teams? They previously.
If they get 20 teams, they're the new mega conference. They're the mega conference of college football. They are now above the SEC. As much as I am an SEC fan, that's just the truth. The Big Ten is now right now they're going to become the best conference in college football because they are so expanded throughout the nation. Northeast, you got the eastern side of the U.S., the Northeast with Rutgers and Penn State. You got Maryland on the East Coast as well. Then you got all the teams that they got in the Midwest, and now they're expanding out into the West Coast with USC and UCLA, and adding Washington. Washington and Oregon. They're gonna get the two biggest college football brand names out in the Pacific Northwest. So they're on the verge of becoming the new mega conference in college football. Here's the article. The Big Ten has begun exploratory discussions about expanding membership to 18 or even 20 teams. Industry sources have told Yahoo Sports the schools are being considered. Oregon, Washington, if the league adds two schools, and Cal and Stanford, if they want to move to 20. Let me get this out of the way. All four institutions are currently a member of the Pac-12. The discussions are in the very early stages. Sources caution no decision, including on whether to or stay put expand or stay put at 16 teams, has been considered imminent. The Big Ten may also patiently wait to see what happens with other Pac-12 schools, their potential move to the Big 12 before acting at all. However, ballooning the league, to as many as 20 teams by adding a 6-team West Coast flank, including 2024 rivals USC, and UCLA, is a real possibility. This is especially true if the Pac-12, which dates back to 1915, falls apart in the near future. They're falling apart right now. Forget about the near future. They're falling apart right now. A group of 4 Big Ten university presidents began the preliminary process on Wednesday, the day prior. Pac-12 Commissioner George, I'm not going to try it, presented a media rights package to his membership that was heavy on games appearing on an Apple TV Plus subscription streaming service. Revenue estimates were as low as $20 million per school. Damn. Here's the TV deal I was talking about earlier. The Big Ten schools will receive $50 million a year, with games mostly appearing on linear television, CBS, Fox, and NBC. That number is expected to grow annually. Meanwhile, the Big 12 has a $31.7 million per year package for schools, while the Pac-12 has 20. So the schools they're looking to make more money. That's the bottom line. Last week, Colorado voted to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12 starting in 2024 without even hearing Klavkov's long-delayed offer. After the presentation, speculation ramped up that Arizona would follow, with Arizona State and Utah with potential flip options as well. With the Pac-12 at risk of splintering, Oregon, Washington, Cal, Stanford, and renewed their push to the Big Ten, seeking a safe and far richer harbor for their athletic programs starting in 2024. The Big Ten has been reluctant to move to 20 teams, even if many in college athletics believe expansive super conferences are inevitable, which this is kind of proven to be are. It is going to be there are going to be some super conferences, and if the Big Ten can pull this off, they're going to be the first one. One reason has been hesitancy to deliver the final destructive blow to the Big 12, to the Pac-12. Although the poaching of UCLA and USC has caused massive destabilization, the Big Ten was for generations Midwestern-based with a like-minded membership. The modern realities of college athletics, though, is to go bigger in search of marquee matchups featuring big branded teams that can draw millions of viewers. The Big Ten's thinking is that if the Pac-12 is going to be decimated anyway with the departure of Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, and the 20-team national conferences are in the future, then why not act now when the conference is already in transition? It could just add Oregon and Washington, but at that point, why not bring Cal and Stanford? Last year, they agreed to a 7-year, $8 billion media rights deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC. Part of that decision will be based on whether those broadcast partners are willing to offer a pro rata share or something close with the addition of 4 more schools. The move would give the Big Ten more control of the West Coast, especially California, as well as an open new television window with games played in prime time out west and late night in the east. Oregon and Washington have fielded strong football programs in the past and have excellent fan bases and markets in Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington State. Cal and Stanford have been less successful as of late, but bring the massive Bay Area not just for football viewership, but in attracting potential students and connecting with corporate partners and alumni. All 4 schools are members of the prestigious Association of American Universities. The downside is simply getting too big too fast. Uh, Additions would the amount of current members dilute the amount current members play each other and threaten regional rivalries. Then there is just the logistics of an unwildly league that stretches from Southern California to the Pacific Northwest through the farmlands and Midwestern cities, all the way to the edge of Washington, D.C., New York. I'm referring, well, not only that, but New Jersey too, because of where Rutgers is playing at as well. One source tossed out the possibility of playing the Big Ten championship game some years in the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, California, rather than Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I don't really like that. I think they need to stay in Lucas Oil Stadium. I think they got to keep some form of tradition there. If the Big Ten is willing to work through the details, then this deal will get done. The 4 Pac-12 schools will jump at a membership offer. If so, the remaining of the so-called 4 corner schools, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, would almost certainly leave for the Big 12, making that the league's 16 teams strong. They may do it even before the Big Ten acts. So it's not looking good for the Pac-12. Like I said, they brought this on themselves. They're a crumbling conference, and quite frankly, if they even last another 3 years, I think they should call it a win. But the Pac-12 is on the verge of no longer being relevant in college football.